In a dress.
Yes, it is, yes.
Oh, you can just call it a man. Call them a man.
Yes, a man, because he was quite clearly a man with just a little bit of makeup and a pair of
Right, that's a man then, yeah.
Yes, and he came late on the shift, so obviously he finished slightly later. He then burst into the changing room. I had my pants and bra on, and there was an Asian Muslim lady who then immediately jumped into the toilet and locked the door. There were at least four other of us in there, and it made me feel really vulnerable. This is about 10 years ago, and really nobody knew what to say. He was married, he had 2 children, and he lived on an estate. And I'm not quite sure why that actually happened.
Well, listen, now I don't know him, so we can't give him a right of reply, but I'll tell you what I think he sounds like. He sounds like a pervert to me.
Well, it was really unusual. And the thing is, he had no consideration. He didn't have any empathy for any of the women who... He never said, do you mind? Because I think everybody would have said, could you just wait until we finish changing before you... And this
but that's because he knows you would mind, because he's got a brain in his head. Did you say you work in the teaching profession?
Well, no, I was originally a nurse, and I went to work at a school further down just to help. And it was within a kitchen environment. And I thought, oh, that's really hard work at the end of the day. I couldn't do that because it was really heavy. But essentially, I was truly shocked. And I never went back to that school because we literally lived about 100 metres away from it. And I thought I'd just go and see
well, this is the thing. This is what women do, right? We're less minded to put up a fight, but just go, do you know what? I'm not going back there. I don't feel safe. I don't like it. That was horrible.
No.
And they know what they're doing. Do you think that this man didn't, do you think he was just completely witless and oblivious to the idea that he puts on a bit of slap and then bursts into a ladies' changing room while people are in a state of undress and they're not going to mind? Of course he knew they would. If he's got a brain cell, he knows that.
Yes, I think he would have. But the thing is, now I would turn around and say, can you just hang on for a minute? But at the time, it was really shocking because obviously it was like 10 years ago. So this has been happening for at least 10 years. And only now, I think people have stood up and said, no, we're not doing this anymore.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. No, I agree. And women need to stand up, find their voice. I certainly need to find mine, and actually stand up for ourselves and say, this stops and this stops now. I decided at some point during 2024 that I wasn't playing woke games anymore. I'm not going to go along with it. I'm going to say what I think, because unless we stand up and we say, that's a man in a dress and he's not coming into our toilets, unless we stand up and say, unfettered levels of immigration is destroying this country, unless we stand up and find our voice and say these things out loud, they're going to carry on getting away with it. They're going to carry on doing all of these things that nobody's asked for, nobody's voted for, and which, frankly, are dangerous. Christine, thank you, my darling. It's been really fascinating talking to you. I love it when we get like a real life story where someone's got kind of lived through something that relates to the topics that we're talking about on the show.
Hi, Alex. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah. Well, I signed the petition anyway for a general election. We all know that it's not going to come to fruition in any event. However, I'm writing a letter to Keir. I'm not going to call him sir, because they need to be strict from that one. But I'm not going to withhold my address. I'm not going to withhold my name. I'm going to write this letter to him, and I'm going to say to him, based on scams, he scammed the public. He scammed the public. And at the end of the day, there's certain advertisements on TV and on your channel when you take a break about scams. And he's scammed us all. He's just scammed us all.
I can feel a new nickname coming on here, Sir Keir Skammer.
Yeah. He's creating a manifesto in order to get into power, and then when we voted for him, I'm not going to say who I voted for, but given the fact that we voted for him, and millions of people voted for him, he just scammed them all.
Yeah, I mean, this is, mind you, look, I'm not really in the business of defending Sir Keir Starmer. I wasn't in the business of defending the Conservative Party when they were sort of destroying the country. But I would say this, which is the stupid snap election. I mean, first of all, what on earth was Rishi Sunak thinking. And the problem with when you have a snap election is it isn't really enough time to vigorously debate the issues, to hold leaders to account, to really sort of hammer out, so what is it you intend to do when you're in power? Most of the voting public don't go on websites and print off manifestos and sit there leafing through going, I like that policy, I like that policy. They just have a little look at Telebox or listen to the radio. So also, I think, pretty much the media didn't really do their job. Certainly, I've never really seen Skammer being properly grilled by anybody in legacy media. And so, maybe this was their intention all along. They just weren't asked about it. And some of that blame has to lie at other people's doorsteps.
The thing is, under the law, if you believe you've been scammed, you can then take that company or that person or whoever you've been scammed to the courts. And at the end of the day, if we can't get a general election out of this person because he's he's just out of it. If we can't get a general election, then I suggest that people who have signed this petition need to write a letter directly to him telling them they've been scammed by him and therefore they're going to take him to court.
Do you know what I would quite like? Do you know what I thought would have been pretty cool, Les? That petition, it was the most British thing. It is so British. The French go about, I don't know, setting fire to cars and stuff like that. And, they go tonto on the streets when, someone just tries to increase the retirement age to, 46. Whereas the British are sort of, really moan about it and then write an angry letter. And that petition was just the most beautifully British reaction to the state of this country right now. The thing that would have perfected it, Les, and if people are out there and still want to do something about this petition, the thing that would make this petition ultra cool would be if it was actually like one of those sort of condolence books. There's a specific place where people could go to in London to sign the petition. And then you had a queue, a bit like you had for the Queen's funeral, snaking all the way through like zone 1 all the way out to zone 2. The good and the great of like all the different counties and nations of this United Kingdom all coming down to London to sign it in person. That would have been beautiful.
Is that outside Parliament building by chance?
Well, it doesn't exist. I kind of want someone to do it. I kind of want someone to stand there with, said petition in paper so people can come and physically sign it. It'd be great optics, wouldn't it? It'd be very British, lovely British protest.
Yeah, I reckon this letter will be the first of many. And like I said, I'm putting it out there. If people feel so strongly about this government, they need to start writing letters. And they don't need to be hide behind... by giving them no address, no name. They need to put the name on these letters because once he gets inundated by thousands, if not millions of letters in his inbox of government buildings, then he's got to open the staff.
Yeah, no, but I'm afraid it's going to be some poor other sap who sits there and has to sort of, send the official reply. It'll be a form of words. It'll be the same letter. Just not for taxpayer money. He ain't going to listen to it, is he, Les? He doesn't listen.
They'll probably just get sick of opening these letters to send out the same letter, but at least it'll keep the post office in.
Well, actually, yeah, exactly. It might be Royal Mail.
Go on, Les.
There is a sort of, yeah.
Oh, dear.
Don't get me started on that one. I've had enough of him. I'll tell you, I've really had enough of him. I'd had enough of him during that snap election campaign. Again, legacy media never asking anyone any blimmin' questions. All that bozo did was fall off things, fall off a jet ski, fart about in an open-air Lido with a load of middle-class women, with some big sort of weird, like, spongy tube. What is that? It's embarrassing. And then, off the back of doing all of that Takeshi's Castle stuff, he somehow manages to get 70-odd seats, and now he's still doing dance routines every day. I mean, can someone spare us? Can someone just find him and drag him into an asylum, lock him up in a padded room and throw away the key? It makes a mockery of our democracy.
He's just on a buzz. He's just on a buzz because he's got so many seats. He's just on a buzz and he wants to start dancing around like an idiot. And
it's embarrassing. It's infantilizing. It's embarrassing, it's shameful. If there are other countries in the world seeing that absolute bonehead, that knuckle-headed moron, dancing around like someone's drunk uncle at a wedding on TikTok or wherever it is, I am sorry, that isn't what we're like in the United Kingdom. We used to be a proud nation of a stiff upper lip, getting things done. People looked at us just to set an example. And an absolute oath in all of his various stupid jumpers. I mean, he really ticks me off if you haven't noticed. Right, thank you ever so much for your call there, Les. Going to take a short break now. And when we come back, it is that time of the show where we start talking a little bit about sport.